You open your eyes 2 million years ago. No fire, no words, no walls, just grassland stretching to a burning horizon. You are not the top of the food chain here. You are meat. Everything with teeth is faster than you, stronger than you, and hungrier than you. Your only weapons are a sharpened rock and the handful of people who run beside you. A shadow shifts in the tall grass. Every instinct screams at you to freeze. A big cat is stalking the herd, and it has already chosen the slowest one. You survive today for one reason only. You are not the slowest. Out here, you learn the oldest rule of your species fast. You do not outrun the predator, you outrun the person beside you. Night is the real killer. You huddle with your band against the cold, listening to things breathe in the dark. Hunger gnaws at you without pause, and a bad week without a kill, and your body starts eating itself. There is no medicine, no rescue, no mercy. A twisted ankle out here is a death sentence because a hunter who cannot walk simply gets left behind. But you have one thing the predators do not. You plan. You chip a sharper edge, you share the meat, you remember where the water hides. Slowly, your kind stops running from the dark and starts to own it. You tame fire and everything changes. If you survived the wild, then congratulations. History is only getting started, and the cold is already coming. 20,000 years ago, the world turns to ice. Glaciers a mile high grind south, and the warm grasslands you knew are gone, buried under endless white. Half of everything you used to eat has already died out. Now survival is a war against the cold itself, a cold so deep it can kill you in the time it takes to fall asleep in the wrong place. To live, you hunt giants. A woolly mammoth is a wall of muscle and tusk that can crush your whole band in seconds, and you go at it with nothing but spears tipped in stone. One of you distracts it, the rest drive it toward a cliff or a pit. If the plan works, you eat for a month. If it does not, someone does not come home. You wear the animals you kill because their fur is the only thing between you and death. You follow the herds across a frozen bridge of land where oceans will one day be. Every mile is a gamble. Frostbite takes fingers, then hands. Starvation stalks the weak. Whole bands simply vanish into the white and are never spoken of by anyone again. Yet you endure. You paint your triumphs on cave walls by firelight, the first stories ever told. And then, slowly, the ice pulls back. The world grows green and warm and strange again. Your descendants will stop chasing food across the tundra because they are about to do something no creature has ever done before them. They are going to plant it. 10,000 years ago, you stop wandering. You push a seed into the dirt. You wait, and you watch food grow where you told it to. It feels like a miracle. You build the first villages, the first permanent homes. For the very first time in the story of your species, you have more food than you need. But comfort, you are about to learn, has a price. Living packed together with your animals, you invent something new and terrible. Plague. Diseases jump from the cattle and the pigs straight into you. And with no immunity and no medicine, they burn through your village like fire. A sickness a modern child would shrug off can wipe out everyone you love in a single season. The crowd that keeps you safe is also what gets you killed. And now that you own land, other people want to take it. You dig the first ditches, you raise the first walls, and you pick up weapons made not for hunting, but for other men. One bad harvest, one drought, one raid, and the surplus that made you rich becomes the exact reason your neighbors come to kill you. You have invented farming, and with it, war. Still, the villages grow into towns, and the towns swell into something enormous. People specialize into potters, priests, soldiers, and kings. Writing is invented just to count the grain. Out of the mud of the river valleys, the first true civilization rises, glittering and cruel. And at the very top of it sits a man who claims to be a living god. Could you survive him? 3,000 years before Rome, you are born in the shadow of the pyramids. Your whole life belongs to the river and to the god-king who rules it. If the Nile floods just right, you eat. If it does not, you starve, while the temples stay fat. You are not a citizen here. You are a tool, counted and taxed and owned from the day of your birth to your grave. You are conscripted to build monuments to a man you will never once see. You haul stone blocks heavier than 10 men under a sun that shows no mercy. Overseers watch you with whips in their hands. A crushed hand, a broken back, a bad fall, and you are simply replaced by mourning. The pharaoh will be remembered for 10,000 years. You will not be remembered at all. So you keep your head down and your name off the wrong lists. You learn who to bribe, which gods to fear, and exactly when to look at the ground. Justice here is whatever the powerful decide it is. A single wrong word about the king can cost you your tongue, or worse, your whole family sold, scattered, and gone. Silence, you discover, is how you stay alive. You live, you toil, you die, and the river just keeps on flowing. But far across the sea, a very different idea is being born. That maybe a man does not have to be a god's property. In cold marble cities, people are starting to argue about freedom and reason and who really should rule. It will not save you, but it will change everything that comes after you. You wake in ancient Greece, in a world of philosophers and warriors. It is the birthplace of democracy, but only if you happen to be the right kind of man. If you are a slave, or a woman, or a foreigner, then none of the fine talk about freedom was ever meant for you. And even for a free citizen, the price of your voice is your own blood on the battlefield. War here is not a spectacle, it is your duty. You stand shoulder to shoulder in the phalanx, a wall of shields and spears, and you march straight into another wall of men who want you dead. There is no running from this. If the man beside you breaks, then all of you die. You learn courage the hard way, because the only alternative is a spear through your throat. And then the largest empire on earth comes for you. Wave after wave of Persian soldiers, more than you can even count, against your handful of stubborn little city-states. You are outnumbered, outspent, and probably doomed. Survival means discipline, terrain, and nerve. Holding a narrow mountain pass, trusting your line, and betting your whole life that the man next to you will not run first. Somehow you hold. The ideas of these small, stubborn cities, reason, citizenship, the vote, will outlive every empire that ever tries to crush them. But ideas do not rule the world, legions do. To the west, a single city is quietly swallowing the entire map, one conquest at a time, and it has a very particular appetite for men like you. Welcome to Rome. You are born into the greatest empire the world has yet seen. All roads, aqueducts, law, and a boot on the neck of half of humanity. Whether you live like a king or die like an animal depends entirely on an accident of birth. Are you a citizen, protected by Roman law, or are you a slave, one of millions, worth exactly what your body can be made to do? If your luck runs out, you end up on the sand of the arena. 50,000 people scream for your death as their entertainment. Across from you stands another man, just as desperate to live as you are. You fight not because you hate him, but because one of you has to die for the crowd to be satisfied. Win, and you live to bleed another day. Lose, and the mob decides. Even as a free man, Rome can kill you in 100 quiet ways. Plague sweeps the crowded city and empties whole streets overnight. Politics is a knife in the dark, the wrong friend, the wrong emperor, and soldiers come for your family at dawn. Bread and circuses keep the mob calm, but underneath it all, everyone knows the truth. Power here is only ever borrowed. For 400 years, it all seems eternal, and then it rots from the inside, on corruption, gold, and hungry armies at the gates. The roads crack, the aqueducts run dry. The law that once protected you falls silent. When Rome finally dies, it does not go quietly at all. It drags the light of the whole known world down with it into a long and bitter dark. Rome is gone, and the world it held together shatters. You are born into the wreckage with no empire, no law, and no safety beyond the reach of your own arm. Cities crumble back into villages, the great roads grow over, knowledge burns or is simply forgotten. Whatever your grandparents built, you inherit only the ruins of it and the memory that things were once far better. The strong take whatever they want, and there is no one left to stop them. Raiders come out of the mist by river and sea, burning your village, stealing your grain, dragging people away in chains. You have no soldiers to call and no king who cares. So you either hide in the trees and pray, or you pick up a blade and learn to be as ruthless as the men who hunt you. To survive, you kneel to a local strongman who promises protection in exchange for everything you grow. This is the birth of the feudal bargain, your freedom traded for his sword. Life is short, brutal, and small. Most people never travel more than a single day's walk from where they were born. You cling to faith because in a world this dark, hope is the one thing no one can steal. Slowly, out of the chaos, an order hardens. Lords, knights, castles, and serfs, a rigid ladder with you somewhere near the very bottom. For a few centuries it almost feels stable. The crops come in, the towns return. Life settles into something you can finally count on. And that is exactly when the deadliest thing your species has ever faced comes crawling in on the backs of rats. The year is 1347, and something is coming that will kill 1 in every 3 people you know. It arrives quietly, just a few sick travelers, a rumor from the east. Then the first swellings appear in a neighbor's neck, black and hard. Within days they are dead. Within weeks the dying is everywhere, and no prayer, no doctor, and no wall can keep it out. The plague does not care who you are. It takes the rich and the poor, the young and the strong, faster than the living can even bury them. Bodies pile in the streets, whole families die behind locked doors with no one left to open them. Nobody knows how it spreads, so nobody knows how to stop it. You wake each morning and check your own skin, terrified of what you might find. There is almost nothing you can do but run, and running only carries it farther. You survive by pure luck as much as anything, on distance, isolation, a strong body, or some strange immunity that no one understands. You watch your neighbors turn on each other, hunting for someone to blame. The world you knew simply ends, and you are one of the few left standing in the ashes of it. But out of that horror, something shifts. With so many dead, the survivors are suddenly worth more. Peasants begin to demand real wages. The old chains of feudalism start to crack apart. People start to question the priests and lords who promised protection and delivered only graves. Out of all that death, a hunger for something new is born, for knowledge, for art, and for a much wider world. You sign onto a wooden ship bound for the very edge of the known map. The world is being redrawn in real time, and men are getting unimaginably rich from spices, silver, and land. But the sea does not care about your dreams. The moment you leave the harbor, you are at the mercy of storms, of disease, and of a captain whose word is absolute law 1,000 miles from anyone. Months at sea, and your body begins to fail you. Your gums bleed, your teeth loosen, and old wounds split back open. Scurvy, and no one yet knows that a single lime could save you. Storms swallow whole ships without a trace. The fresh water runs foul, and if the sea does not take you, the men beside you might, when the food runs low and discipline breaks down into something darker. You make landfall in a world that is new only to you because people already live here. What comes next is one of the darkest chapters your species will ever write. Conquest, plunder, and diseases that wipe out millions who never stood a chance. You may survive the whole crossing, only to become a small, expendable part of a machine grinding its way across 2 entire continents. The world stops being a scattering of separate stories and becomes one connected, ruthless whole. Gold and human beings move across the oceans as cargo. Empires swell fat on the profit. And in the smoky workshops of a cold northern island, someone is about to harness a force that will change the shape of human life more than any king or any plague ever did. Steam. You are born into the age of iron and smoke. Machines can now do the work of 100 hands, and the world is changing faster than anyone can understand. You leave the fields your family farmed for 1,000 years and pour into a city that is choking on its own coal. There is work here, endless work, and it is going to try very hard indeed to kill you. The factory owns your entire day, from before dawn until long after dark. You feed machines that tear off fingers and crush arms for wages that barely buy your bread. Children work right beside you, small enough to crawl under the looms until one day they do not crawl back out. There are no laws to protect you, no safety, no mercy. Break, and another desperate body waits at the gate. The city itself is a slow poison. You drink water thick with sewage, and cholera and typhoid sweep through the slums. The air is so heavy with smoke that day looks like dusk. Whole families crowd into a single rotting room. The rich build glittering mansions on the profit of your labor, and from their high windows they cannot even see the streets where you cough your lungs out. But you and millions like you begin to push back. You organize, you strike, and slowly, grudgingly, the world gives ground. On laws, on schools, on a weekend, and a wage you can almost live on. Progress is real, and it is bought with your suffering. And just as life starts, at last, to get better, the whole machine turns its genius toward one single, terrible new purpose. You are handed a rifle and a number and marched into the worst 30 years in all of human history. The trench is your whole world now. Just mud, rats, freezing water, and the endless scream of the shells. Across a few hundred yards of churned earth, other young men exactly like you wait to kill you. Nobody out here really remembers why. You just want to live until morning. Then the whistle blows and you climb up out into the open. Machine guns cut the very air apart. Men fall on either side of you before they have even taken 10 steps. This is industrial war, where courage counts for nothing against a weapon that fires 600 rounds a minute. Whether you live or die in the next 60 seconds has almost nothing to do with you. It is pure screaming luck. And this time, the war does not stay on the battlefield. Cities burn from the sky. Whole populations are marked for extermination in a horror so vast that the words for it have to be invented afterward. If you are born into the wrong place, the wrong faith, the wrong name, then no uniform and no courage can save you. Your species has learned to destroy itself wholesale, and it does. Somehow, the guns finally fall silent. The cost is beyond all counting. Tens of millions gone, cities turned to ash, and a terrible new weapon in the world that could end everything in a single afternoon. Out of the rubble, exhausted, humanity builds something it has never really tried before. A long, uneasy peace. You made it through the fire. Now comes the strangest era of them all. Yours. You are born into the safest, richest, most comfortable moment in all of human history, and you barely even notice, because it is all you have ever known. Clean water pours from the wall, food is everywhere. A plague that once emptied entire cities is now just a small shot in the arm. The dangers that killed every single ancestor before you have been beaten so far back you forget they were ever real. But comfort has teeth of its own. The things trying to kill you now are quieter, like stress, loneliness, and a screen that eats your years an hour at a time. You have more power sitting in your pocket than a Roman emperor ever dreamed of, and you use it mostly to feel worse. For the first time, your species faces threats big enough to end everyone at once, and you have chosen to look away. And now you stand at the very edge of the unknown. Machines that think are waking up. The climate is shifting under your feet. You may live to see people born on other worlds, or you may see it all come apart. No ancestor has ever faced a future this wide open, this fast, or this fragile. Every era before yours was survived by someone. This one is being decided by you. You have run from lions and hunted mammoths. You have bled in the phalanx, burned with the plague, drowned at sea, and gone over the top into the guns. Every single one of your ancestors survived long enough to pass you on. Now the whole story is in your hands, and the only real question left is the one they never once got to ask. What will you do with it?